everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Near Mint Condition. It's been 40 years since the first Halloween, and today we are going to be reviewing the new one that just arrived in theaters, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, and welcome back. I'm Amanda, and this is Omar.
Thank you.
And
for having me.
Yes, thank you, as always. So today, Omar and I got a chance to see Halloween, the new film starring the original Scream Queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis, back in action. And we're going to give you guys our thoughts and opinions on the film. So why don't we start off, Omar, go ahead and give us a little bit of a background on the film itself, where we stand as far as the franchise is concerned.
So really quick, I don't know if I'd consider Jamie Lee Curtis the original Scream Queen. I think her mom probably has that. But,
yes,
you know,
but of the current iteration of horror movies out there, yeah.
Okay, so this is the fifth time they've retconned a lot of stuff. Halloween 1 was done in 1978, and then following was Halloween 2, which was literally a direct sequel because it happened in the same night. However, the ending of Halloween 2 was kind of retconned by Halloween 4, because it turns out that Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, had a daughter, Jamie, played by the now beautiful Danielle Harris. And so that all was retconned with Halloween Water, or Halloween 20, and because they said that no, Laurie didn't have a daughter, and she's still alive. So whatever. And then Halloween Resurrection, I think Laurie and Michael Myers end up dying, but that's okay because that was all retconned by Halloween by Rob Zombie, which had nothing to do with the other Halloween movies. This one is just a direct sequel to Halloween 1.
Correct.
That's it. It's kind of like in the way that, like, Bryan Singer's Superman Returns was a sequel to Superman 2. So this doesn't take... There's a lot of throwbacks, I will say that. But it doesn't take anything else into consideration. All the other movies, all the other things that happen in Halloween 2 through 6 and the other Halloweens, nothing. Yeah. It's just that 40 years later, everybody that he killed in part 1, those are the only people that Michael Myers killed. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It is dedicated to one of the producers that kept bringing the franchise back, Mustafa Akkad, I think.
Akkad, yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And, I mean, that's really all you need to know before you go see this movie. I think we're going to keep this spoiler-free,
we
right?
are going to keep it spoiler-free, yeah. And that was the, I think, the reasoning behind the name of the movie as well.
It is kind of confusing because they went with the title Halloween instead of Halloween 40, which I guess people don't want to go back to and have anything to do with Halloween 20.
The director, David Gordon Green, in a recent interview had said he wanted to name it Halloween because he wanted anyone who hadn't ever seen the film before, any of the films, just to go in fresh. Like, this is your Halloween. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I don't know if it achieved that, but
yes,
okay.
But that I can't think that. He didn't want to hold anyone back from seeing the film, I think. For instance, like myself, who never have seen maybe one or two iterations of it, but had never seen the entire franchise. I didn't have to go in there thinking, oh, how much of this franchise do I need to know?
So what else? Has he done any horror movies, or is this his first horror movie?
When I looked up his IMDb, I didn't see a lot of horror movies, a lot of indie films, Eastbound and Down, and of course Danny McBride is one of the main writers.
So weird.
On this film, and you can see it in some of the teenage dialogue, I think.
A lot of marijuana jokes.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. With that note, let's kind of talk about this movie.
Okay, without giving spoilers away, huh?
Yes, without giving spoilers. So obviously, like you said, it takes place 40 years after Jamie Lee Curtis and her daughter Karen and her granddaughter Allison, they are going through their own familial issues, right? So obviously... she reminds me of Linda Hamilton's character in Judgment Day. Yeah.
Right? Just a little crazy, but badass. She has all these weapons. She's ready for this fight.
She's ready.
Fucking 40 years, man. Let it go.
And no one believes her. Everyone thinks she's crazy.
Well, because, she keeps referring to him as the boogeyman, and everybody's like, no, Michael Myers is just a crazy guy that killed people. So that is her family. Meanwhile, Michael Myers has been stuck in an institution for the last 40 years. For some reason, they did not kill him, even though he killed 5 people in the original movie. Still don't understand that one. And then you have a couple podcasters from England that haunt him.
They call themselves investigative journalism, and I
thought that was funny.
Yeah, it is funny. I think that was the point.
So, I mean, they go so far as to taunt him with the mask, and his own doctor is back there letting this happen. And, of course, Michael Myers is going to snap in. Look, his mask is only a few feet away from him. We know what's gonna happen. I mean, it's Horror Movies 101. So all that, of course, leads to Michael Myers escaping, and for some reason still has a hard-on for Laurie Strode, and he wants her and her family dead, and that's kind of what this movie takes place. Like, it's Halloween night, 40 years later.
A lot of allusions to it, yeah.
So we have Michael Myers freshly escaped from the Institute, and now on a rampage to kill, and killing things, people that are in his way.
Yep.
And that's pretty much the gist of the movie.
Yeah, and you have Laurie Strode on the opposite end, and her mission is basically to put down her ghost, to put down her boogeyman once and for all. That is her goal. And her goal has obviously created, it centers around the discord between her and her family, and that part of the movie I think was played up really well. I actually felt very emotional towards the end. I thought that I loved her relationship with her daughter and her granddaughter. As far as the horror, I was surprised that I was able to sit through most of it. As someone who's scared of a lot of horror movies and not a fan, I was surprised that the jump scares weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. What do you think, as someone who's an aficionado?
I do not consider... Just because my ass went out and bought the Blu-ray collection does not mean I'm an aficionado whatsoever.
Of the horror genre.
I don't scare easy. That I will say that. And this movie did nothing for me. It's not scary at all. As a matter of fact, the original movie is a lot scarier than this because of the technology that they were lacking back then. I mean, for Christ's sakes, in the original movie, they had to fly leaves over because they were filming in California instead of Illinois. And there's such an atmosphere to the first movie that adds an element of horror that this is lacking. And I figured with the modernization of technology that we have now, it would have made it better, but it didn't. But no, to me, it was not scary at all, and I think that was my main problem with the movie.
And that's your main problem. Yeah, I mean, as far as the gore factor, as I'm concerned, I guess since I had never seen the original, I didn't know what to expect as far as that was concerned. However, I felt that the most frightening parts weren't really when he actually did the deed, right? It was leading up to that. It was the anticipation. And they did have some good moments. They had some comedic moments that thrown in there, surprisingly.
There were some annoying-ass characters in this movie that I wish had gotten killed.
Yes, there was a lot of misdirect, too, as far as Omar's talking about. Different characters you expected may have...
That played a bigger role, they just kind of come and went.
And so you wondered, what was the point of them in the plot? Is it just they were a plot device to move the plot along? And sometimes that's okay, but sometimes why spend all that time on a character if that's for no other reason, just to be there and not do anything else with the plot? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that. You mentioned being a little bit scared in some of the scenes.
Yes.
And I didn't find anything scary. I did appreciate a lot of the things that they try to do. Like, this is in the trailer, but when Michael Myers on Halloween night, the kids run up on him, and it's, what is supposed to be one continuous shot of him going into a house, picking up a hammer, and then coming over and just beating a woman to death, and then picks up a knife, goes back outside, and then he goes into another house. There's a shot of him looking in, it's a reflection shot, which is a very hard thing to do.
That is very hard to do.
I mean, with CG, whatever, you can do anything you want. But I thought that was a really cool shot. There were some pretty interesting shots, I think, but nothing too artsy. If anything, it felt like this movie was made by fans of the original movie, and not just the original movie, but all the other movies, because there was a lot of throwback things in there,
a lot of Easter eggs.
And I think that's my problem. I don't like. It's one thing to have those Easter eggs in your movie as a nice little throwback. It's like, hey, you get people that have watched them like, oh my god, those two cops are like the cops in part 5, or that gas station looks like the gas station in part 4. But then that's it. You're not using them. You're not utilizing them into your story to move it further. It's just there for people to be like. So it kind of, in a way, it reminds me of Family Guy. That thing that makes you feel special about Family Guy. That's why a lot of people really enjoy it. But they're like, oh, I remember that. So that's why I'm like, I don't want to say it's lazy writing or lazy directing, but they're just there for no reason other than people to be like, hey, I feel special because I make a connection with Halloween 6. So.
How do you think about the acting in it overall? I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously,
she kills it.
Yeah.
She kills. She always does, though. I thought it was interesting that Nick Castle reprised the role of the Shape. Did. So the Shape is what, in the script, Michael Myers is known as. The Shape is played by different actors. And Nick Castle played him in the original Halloween. So I thought it was really cool that he came back to play him in this.
Yeah.
As far as, like, I cannot remember the sheriff's name.
Will Patton.
Love that guy. Everything that he's in, he's great in.
I was really surprised when I saw him because he's, if anyone knows who Will Patton is, he was the coach in Remember the Titans. He was in Armageddon, so he's one of those really
famous
popular
faces.
90s. Yeah, he's like one of those 90s actors. He was in a lot of stuff in the 90s that we all enjoyed.
A lot of the actors, maybe it's the way they're supposed to be, got on my nerves. Like the kids.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the kids, like except for her granddaughter, she was, I guess, who you were supposed to feel for, but everybody else was kind of annoying. I mean, it's a horror movie. They don't have that big of a cast. I find it odd to find her daughter, the actress
Judy Greer, and I love
she's been casting a lot more serious roles, right?
Yes.
Like she was the mom in Jurassic World.
Yes.
But I always remember her from Arrested Development, like when she's flashing Michael.
See, I remember 13 Going on 30. She was Jennifer Garner's arch nemesis.
Wow. Yeah. Now she's got these mom roles.
Yeah,
so
but she does, but I love it. I thought it was really great that she had a chance to star opposite of Jamie Lee Curtis, and I think she did a really good job because she's one of those.
I think she did too.
Yeah, she's one of those actresses that is always under the radar. She does a good job in the roles she has to play, but she never gets that next step, like that lead actress role. But I think she did a really good job playing as Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter in this one.
Yeah, there were a few scenes that I was like, that's really believable.
Yes.
Thought it was really cool. Of course, I'm not going to give away the ending, but I was kind of dissatisfied with the ending because it's one of those things that we have been leading up for 40 years to see this, like your arch nemesis, right? And it almost feels a little like, I mean, I told you that's where it would end too. I called it because it's your horror movies 101. But still, anybody has ever seen any horror movie would be like, okay, yeah, totally saw that coming. But it just felt uninspired. Like I didn't like it. Like,
I was hoping for a different ending as well, and even because I enjoyed the way the climax hit, and so I was expecting something different.
Yes, I like the the third act was really cool. I thought that was my favorite part of the movie.
Third act, yes.
But I did not like the way the movie ended, and I mean, obviously, if it does well enough, they'll make some sequels or whatever. But I just wanted more fighting and struggling against your torments, like you said, because that's what he's the representation of everything that's gone wrong in her life.
Yeah, it is, and I think I wonder if they were trying to go more for just looking at her psyche and his psyche more so than the action or the horror element.
If they did, I totally missed that.
Okay, that's the only thing.
No, I mean that's some deep reading into that movie because I totally did not get that out of that movie. What I got out of it was your average horror movie, not even one that stands out as much. Now it's a lot better follow up than a lot of the sequels, but I think. Honestly, Halloween 4, I think is...
What about other horror movies recently that have come out? I mean, how does it stand? Because obviously it's part of this long-going franchise, but there's been a lot of other horror movies, new franchises.
I tell you what, so I like Rob Zombie's original Halloween. I did not like the sequel because he does the same thing that happens with a lot of the American horror movies, is he explains way too much, and I don't need that in my horror movies. As far as like standing up, you're talking like... With the remake of It, or...
like the remake of... Think about the remake of It or other horror movies along those lines that have come out. Even like, how does this hold up against that? Because obviously, this is...
There's some creepy imagery in some of those movies, though. Like, things like The Nun or Insidious...
Yes.
Or Annabelle.
Annabelle. So that, the Conjuring universe, right?
No, this is not that scary at all. Like this is a cakewalk.
No, it won't leave me
this
with nightmares.
It's not your run of the mill slasher flick, that's for sure.
No, it's not.
I think it's better than that.
It's more character driven than your average slasher film.
Definitely better acted.
So, much better.
Compared to those kind of movies, I think this is just one that's like, oh hey, remember that? Like seriously, like 5 years from now, people will be like, hey, remember when they made like a sequel to Halloween? And people will be like, oh, you mean like Halloween 20? And they're like, no, Halloween 40. So that's what I feel like this is going to end up as. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. So,
final thoughts. What's your overall score on this one out of a 10?
Out of 10, 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10?
6 out of 10. Yeah, okay. I don't like that. And that's mainly because
Jamie
Lee...
Jamie Lee... to get on him right now.
What?
I'm waiting for the comment section to roll.
That 6 out of 10 is pretty good. Like, and it's mainly
60%.
because Jamie Lee Curtis came back. And I think she's going to be the big pull of this movie. Everybody that had seen this movie growing up, everybody had seen the sequels, is definitely going to go see this movie. 6 out of 10 is because John Carpenter's score, which he did with his son. I assume that's
Cody
his son,
Carpenter,
right? It would have gotten a 7 out of 10 if they had put fine ass Danielle Harris in this movie though, and brought Jamie back because I always liked that character. But
They went with a different.
I mean,
yeah.
she's not. I mean, she's retconned because she's not part of the sequel.
Yeah,
She
she's
never
not
existed.
anymore, yeah.
Anyway, what about you? 6 out of 10 for me. What did you think?
What did I think?
Yeah,
well,
I'm
you
sure.
know, since I'm not a huge horror fan, I actually would give it. I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
7.5.
And I'm mainly basing that off of the character-driven story of the three women. That's what I'm basing it on, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I think she deserves it, and I love seeing her back in action and back on screen. So, yeah,
It was nice to see that.
I want to see.
It was nice to see her fight back.
There was one point where she was making a yogurt smoothie. Not that that's a spoiler. And Omar was like, "That better be her yogurt." Yeah.
There was that part.
But yeah, that's mine. 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Just mainly because Jamie Lee Curtis, as always, is phenomenal, and the story between her and her daughter and her granddaughter, I think, was a great character-driven story plot. Even if the horror didn't add up.
What did you guys think?
Yeah,
Did you guys enjoy it? Did you love it? What aspects did you like about the movie? Am I wrong? Was 6 too harsh or was it too high?
I'd love to hear your comments, so make sure to add them after you watch the video. So that's it, everyone. That's our final review of Halloween. Omar with a 6 and me with a 7.5. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please give us your comments, because Omar and I love responding to them, and we love to get your feedback and see what you thought of this maybe soon-to-be classic edition of this movie.
Or this forgotten piece of slasher fanfic. Anyway.
We'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching so much, and have a great day, everyone. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Near Mint Condition. Today marks the, it's not today. And today... Nope. Why do I keep saying today?
Fuck me.
It's been 40 years since the last... No, it hasn't been. It's just come out in theaters.
Can we do that again? I'm so sorry. I turned at the wrong time. Do that again. Sorry.
I finally got it!